welcome back to another beautiful year. Our lovely 2024 first episode of the year at the Nerd for No Reason podcast. What is good, my guys? I'm one of your hosts. I'm Raven.
What's up, everybody? My name is Mark, and I want to thank you for listening and welcome to 2024's Nerd for No Reason podcast. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to be back doing this. It's been a minute, hasn't it, Raven? Like it's almost been like a whole solid month or more,
Yeah,
I think, since we've recorded.
man, the holiday season, and then you just up and left.
I mean, my work made me do things, and I had to go travel to the great state of Ohio.
Hoo.
Um, quick little trivia about Ohio. This is my first time in Ohio, and up until this point, everyone that I have met from Ohio is not actually in Ohio at the time. I meet them outside of the state. I'm like, what are you doing here in Florida, Alabama, England, everywhere else? Like, man, Ohio's terrible.
Dang.
And I had to get out. I was like, okay. And I deal with people who work in Ohio almost on a daily basis. And inevitably, I knew I was going to go up there. So I went up there, and I'll say this. I went to Dayton, and I stayed in downtown Dayton, the little downtown area. For those of y'all that live in Dayton, I stayed at a hotel right across the street from the baseball stadium in downtown. And it really wasn't that bad. There's a lot of Dayton that I was like, yeah, I don't want to live here.
Yeah.
But this little downtown area was nice. They had a bunch of cool little shops, a bunch of cool little restaurants. It was cold as shit. Like I had big plans. Like when I got there, I think it was like 20 degrees. And I was like, okay, it's cool. Like it's snowing, it's cold. I get it. And then that Saturday, I had big plans of going and walking downtown, and I was just going to go on a nice little just adventure all day. And I woke up and I stepped outside of the hotel to go run some errands before I did my big walking adventure, and it was like 9 degrees.
Oh.
And the wind was blowing like
Mm-mm.
hell, so the wind chill was probably negative something. And I was like, well, I'm not doing anything today. It was cold and miserable like that the entire time I was there. It was, oh man. I'd like to go back in the spring, which I might have to do, and see it when it's not just a miserable frozen wasteland of Ohio,
Yeah.
because I think that I will actually enjoy it. But it was, all in all, for what it was, your little downtown area, Dayton, was very cool. Restaurants were great. I went to this one restaurant, brew pubs everywhere, where they serve like all this fancy smancy beer snobby IPAs and stuff. And I'm
Ooh.
like, give me a Bud Light, and they look at me like I'm crazy.
Of course.
But there was this one brew pub where I went, and they had a meatloaf sandwich where I had meatloaf, macaroni and cheese, and like fried onions on
Ooh.
it. Not onion rings,
Yeah,
but like fried onion
yeah.
crispies. And it was so good. Oh my God, it was insane.
That sounds so amazing.
It was honestly, it was the highlight of my trip. I went there twice. I was like, man, this is incredible. Yeah. So
Nice.
so yeah, that's why we haven't recorded like 2 weeks ago. And I'm so glad to be back, man. Like I've been looking forward to this for a lot of different reasons. Starting off the new year because I get to talk to my friend Raven. Raven, what have you been up to, like since Christmas and stuff?
This whole past week, I've actually been off work because, like you, dealing with the fun, cold snow, for whatever reason, Knoxville just got pummeled with about 8 inches of snow, and it didn't get above freezing for much of it to melt. So we've had frozen roads just for almost a week now. Oh, yeah, because it started snowing last Monday, and then I can't work again tomorrow. So, yeah, for quite a while, we have just been stuck inside. We didn't make our first like trip out of the house since last Sunday, until like Wednesday or Thursday because I had to go get my medication and like we knew that that the roads were like good enough that we could at least just get to Costco and come right back because all the side roads are just horrible, horrible, horrible. They made sure that the main roads were at least good enough for people to get in and out. But aside from that, we have just been doing a lot of TV, a lot of random little crafts, and cleaning. But the boys are enjoying it. I've been enjoying it. I love having all this time off. I know that like a lot of people, especially in mobile grooming, because there's another mobile groomer that lives in the same apartment complex. She saw me one day and was like, "Are you bored yet?" And I was like, "No, I'm having the time of my life. I've been burnt out for a few months, so this is literally just recharging me to get ready, go deal with all these dogs that I know have been in the snow, getting crazy matted up, and so I'm ready. It's going to be great. It's going to be a good start to the year, even though we are so close to already being done with the first month of the year. Isn't that crazy? It
That
like
is.
flew by so fast. But yeah, that's all I've been really up to is just my regular shenanigans.
Well, have you been because you've been stuck in the house? Have you been catching up on any Netflix? Have you been watching anything besides unpodcast related things?
Yeah, we no longer have Netflix because of the whole new Netflix policy, but Hulu and Max, Peacock, Amazon Prime, they've all been our like best friends this week. I've caught up on the new season of Bob's Burgers, which is wonderful. It's one of my favorite shows, but I've just been so busy. Been watching a heck ton of One Piece. Um, we watched you and I haven't discussed this movie, Saltburn.
I've heard people talking about it, and I have no idea what it's about or what any. I don't know anything about it.
I
I've just heard people like
I
talking about it.
completely understand because I had no idea about anything with this movie. I didn't even know what the name of this movie was for a while, and then eventually it popped up and it's like, "Hey, it's over here on this app if you want to watch it." And I was like, "I don't know what this is." And then one of my friends was like, "Have you watched this yet?" And I was like, "No. What is it?" And she's like, "Well, it's kind of like horror in a way. It's like one of those things that like screws with your mind." So I told Chris, and I was like, "Do you have interest in watching this?" And he's like, "I don't even know what it is." And I was like, "Is it going to be like Hereditary, Midsummer?" And she was like, "No. You'll just know when you get to certain scenes that you're like, what is happening? What is going on?" It's so good. It's insane. Uh, it's wonderfully cast because the dude that plays the main guy, what's his name? Barry something. I can't think of it. He like improvised a lot of stuff in there that is insanely crazy, but it's so good. I highly recommend that you watch this movie because I can't like say certain things without giving away like
Okay,
plot line. But he's like he becomes kind of like infatuated with this guy, and you're like, oh. And so he like goes home with him for like the holiday or something like that, and it just gets crazy from there. Yeah,
okay. Well, that sounds cool, man. I'll have to check it out. We might have to take a break from our series, or maybe like in between our scheduled series, we might have to like do Saltburn and a few other things just to kind of cleanse the palate, as it were.
absolutely.
So, uh, being in Ohio by myself and stuck in a hotel room, I was able to catch up on a few things that have dropped in the past couple weeks, or that I was able to catch up on from the first of the year. And one of them was a show called Blue Eyed Samurai on Netflix. That is this fantastic I guess anime for the lack of better words, even though it's not like traditionally like Japanese animation. Um, but it was phenomenal. It was such a great. It was probably, oh man, I hate to use the term best, but it was definitely a hit for old Mark here. Very unique animation style, great story of revenge and just feudal Japan. So great. I actually want to kind of go back and watch it, which is probably the best compliment I can really give anything is like, yes, I want to go back and spend more time with this thing that I've already seen. Um, really good. And then there was Echo on Disney Plus, which I liked about 90% of it. It was really good and really fun. Um, the main actress in the series that I know I'm going to butcher her name, so I'm so sorry. I think it is pronounced Alakwa Cox, I
That's a
think,
name.
who plays the titular Echo. Man, she hasn't acted in anything before except for the Hawkeye series that introduced her, and she is great. She is somehow, I know this is a very niche category to put somebody in, that she's the only person I could think of that is this, but she is a deaf amputee and she kills it. She knocks it out of the park.
Ooh.
And with the exception of like a few kind of quote unquote Marvel things that happen towards the end of the series where it's just like they get to the kind of the whole superhero thing of it, I loved it. I thought it was another fantastic show. I was like, man, I've done finished watching two great shows here,
Nice.
and I am not upset about this.
That's dope.
So yeah.
Oh, another thing that we went and watched the new Mean Girls, the musical, um, in the theater.
Oh yeah, Alice. Yeah, Alice went and saw that. You tell me what you thought.
Okay, so Chris and I have seen the production live. We saw it in Atlanta like 2 years ago. And to be honest, I like had no idea that they were remaking it and doing it for a movie until maybe like November, December, something like that. I've been really out of touch with like what's actually at the theater and stuff, to be quite honest, even though Chris works there and I'm constantly like, what's going on over there? But I love it. Chris and I were both like, okay, we'll see how it goes. Because he was like, I really like typically if it's going to be a musical, that it's more in like the style of like how Hamilton is, where they just basically do the one big production. But oh my gosh, Mark, you need to watch this if you like musicals, which I know you do. But also the casting in it is so good. You like the fact that it's very modern to today's society. So like where you would think about things in like the original movie, the way that they do it now is just genius. And all of the cast, they are so perfectly picked. They have amazing voices. And I just like love them because I was like to Chris, I was like, "Oh my God, I love her. Oh my God, she's so cute." Like to all to all of the actresses. I was just like, oh, "They're all so wonderful." Even Regina George. I love her. What did Alice think?
She did not like it.
She
She was
sucks.
not a fan.
Sorry. I know that's your kid, but like she's seen the original, correct?
Oh yeah, no, she likes the original,
Man,
and she likes parts of the musical, but she, you know what? I could bring her in here. We could, and I could let her give like a little 5 minute review on it.
I mean, if you want to let her come in,
So,
you can do it.
all right, yeah, hold on a
All
sec.
right.
Hold on, let me go get her.
Hey,
Hey, so I heard you saw Mean Girls.
I did.
What'd you think?
It was terrible.
Why?
Um, it just wasn't entertaining. I mean, the only good part about it was Renee. She was Regina. But Katie was really bad. She can't sing. It started off with like this opening number that I was just like I saw that and like I knew it was gonna be bad. Like,
Interesting.
yeah.
Did you see it with friends?
Yeah, because like my school, we're doing like the Mean Girls show for theater. So we were like, oh, let's go see the movie as a troupe. And so, yeah, it was really bad.
Hmm. Did you guys all dislike it, or did you just like dislike it?
Nobody liked it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I got a free poster out of it. So,
Ooh,
yeah.
that's what's up.
But I
Okay.
saw Wonka today.
Did you like that?
I think so. I think, because I don't know. I didn't know it was a musical. Did you know it was a musical?
I saw it with Nina and Pop Pop when they came
Mm,
to visit us, and I also didn't know it was gonna. Well, I kind of did. I
mm.
don't know. I didn't know too much about it, but it was okay.
Yeah,
I
I
don't.
think,
I'm not a huge fan of Timothy Chalamet, to be honest. I think he's
see,
just kind of a bland actor.
I think it was like, maybe I'm just like not in the Wonka universe, but I mean, I don't know. Like, I can't tell if I like it or not yet. Because it's like, it was kind of weird.
I mean, that's fair.
Because I'm used to
It's
like
what
the OG
it's
one
Wonka.
with like the chocolate factory and, you know, falling in the
Which
chocolate river and stuff.
which OG one?
The one, Jim Carrey,
The
I think?
original?
Yeah.
No,
Jim Carrey?
Who?
Gene Hackman, the super old one.
Yeah, Gene Hackman.
Okay, just making sure.
No, no, not Gene Hackman.
I know what he's talking about, though.
Wilder. Gene Wilder.
Wilder.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
one I
yeah.
like. The golden ticket.
Yeah.
I actually
Okay.
never watched the Johnny Depp one. I've never
That's
seen it.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. What? Johnny Depp's so good. Okay. Whatever.
Yeah. But don't watch Mean Girls. I do not recommend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for your non-recommendation.
You're welcome.
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Alice, woo!
Dude, your kid's wrong. I mean, was Katie the best? Maybe not necessarily, but like she still did like a good Katie Herring, in my opinion. But whatever. I love the Plastic Girls. The girl that plays Karen, after we left, I was like, oh my God, she was adorable. She was so dumb. She like put on this like, she was adorable. I wasn't necessarily a huge fan of the Aaron uh character, not as much as the OG, but that man was a dreamboat, the OG one. But anyways, let the people decide themselves. If you like musicals, go for it.
Go watch musicals.
Make your own opinions. Don't listen to kids that are 15. Anyways, that's my little rant of the day.
All right. Well, you ready to talk about you ready to talk about some movies?
I'm ready to talk about the fastest cars that ever done Furious.
I am so genuinely excited, so excited because one, we're starting a series of reviews, which genuinely makes me happy. But also, these are a bunch of movies that you've never seen.
Correct.
And this is like an actual chronicling of the humble beginnings of this franchise to the absurd, ludicrous, no pun intended, of where we get to now in the franchise. And I just
Yeah.
cannot wait in a couple weeks when it really starts going off the rails and you're like, what in the hell?
Yeah. When Chris and I were like first talking about it, I was like, I really don't know how I'm going to feel about watching these movies, to be honest. Like, I I was definitely like into cars growing up. Like anytime my grandfather would work on our cars, I'd be like, I'm gonna help him. My best friend's younger sister, who I'm also super close with, she is a car girly, and like I'm so jealous of her because she'll just like take her truck apart and like put stuff back together and just be like, I got this. This is cool. Um, and like racing and stuff like that, like I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. But when it gets to like all the nonsense stuff, I think I'm just gonna like lose my mind and be like, there's no, you're not allowed to do this because it doesn't make sense. You can't go into space. You can't punch sharks or whatever. I don't even know what they
I think
do.
that's the only thing they haven't done yet is literal underwater stuff, and I'm upset.
Hey, there's always next time.
So, all right, well let's get into into the meat and potatoes of it, and I will ask for the first time this year, first time of this franchise that we get to do it, Raven, for 2001's The Fast and the Furious. It's important to make that distinction because later on there will be some confusion. For The
For
Fast
real.
and the Furious, 2001's hit movie, Raven, what did you think?
Honestly, I thought it was a pretty good movie. I, like I said, I wasn't very sure about what I would think about it or if it would be able to really keep my attention because of what all was going on. But I really stayed in the zone with it the whole time. I enjoyed the characters, some of them a little douchier than they needed to be. There's no reason that you gotta hate up on our main man Brian just because you want a little girly girl, but she don't want you because you a dick. Anyways, but yeah, I thought it was. I had no idea that Brian was a cop until he's just like, all right, anyways. And I was just like, what? What's happening here? So I am straight going blind into these things, just so you know. The only one that I know, like, maybe a little bit is Tokyo Drift. But other than that, I will be blind reacting to all of these movies. I will have no idea what's happening. But I
Cool.
enjoyed it,
Awesome.
especially for its classic timepiece of 2001 cinema,
Ye-
which we will obviously discuss
oh, yeah, we will.
all the fun nitty gritty of that. Mark, as someone that I am sure has seen all of the Fast and Furious franchise movies, what do you think of the original?
I really enjoy this movie. A lot more than I thought it would. And you're right. I've seen all of them. I enjoyed just about all of them. Um, and this is watching it now, like this is such the bare basic bones of what the franchise has become that it was kind of enjoyable watching all these practical stunts that were happening on screen, that where they're driving along and they're riding next to this semi truck that is trying to run them off the road. And is it a little hokey? Yes, it is. But it's also the fact that there really is a dude strapped to the side of a truck or a car, or things are like really blowing up, and all of this kind of fantastical stuff that is physically happening on screen that isn't CGI, or everything is just so simple. And it's very, I thought about this, and I don't know if this is like the right analogy, but in the menu, at the end of the menu, after making all of this fancy, bougie, whatever the hell food, and Anna Taylor Joy is like, I just want a cheeseburger. Just make me a cheeseburger. And it was just like the simplicity, like this is the simple cheeseburger, whereas especially once we start getting into the post Tokyo Drift movies of like all of the fancy French meal that is now the Tokyo or Fast and Furious franchise. This was kind of nice just to like take everything back and see everything in its kind of 2001 glory. Um, not a lot of computer graphics going on, and we're going to talk about that too.
Good.
But I do want to say that I went and saw this movie when it came out in the theaters. And I can tell you that the theater that I went to go see it at in Fort Walton Beach, Florida, looked like a car show.
Oh yeah.
It was like Fast and Furious threw up in my movie theater parking lot. There were so many Honda Civics out there, just womp 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 womp. Yeah, no, there was cops everywhere, but there were people like peeling out of the parking lot, going crazy. It was bonkers. It was so much fun. So, I guess let's kind of get into it with the let's talk about all of the 2001-ness of it. Raven, how old were you in 2001?
I was 4 years old in 2001. Yep.
Oh my
I was gonna
goodness.
say, if I watched this, like if my dad was like, yeah, I'll take the kid out, because my dad was like 21, probably. Yeah, 21 at the time when this came out. He was probably like, yeah, I'll take her to a movie, and then like I would have had no idea what was happening. I'm just like, yeah, fast car, let's go.
What was so funny to me, the thing that instantly stands out watching this was the fashion. The Southern California racing fashion, alternative fashion, we'll call it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was one scene right at the beginning when we are introduced to the crew, to Dom's crew, and Michelle Rodriguez gets out of her car and she is wearing these boots that if I remember right, they had flames on them, but they also had like these super huge soles on them.
Yeah.
And I was like, what in the hell? And I remember I paused it and said, kids, look at this nonsense. And then they flashed like her with her sunglasses on, and Alice is just giggling. She's like, what is she wearing? I'm like, this was it. This is cool back
Dude,
20 years ago.
that was the style. Whew.
The halter top, the belly shirt,
All the bikini tops, the mesh,
the super low rise jeans,
the those pleather pants.
Oh yeah.
Was some good stuff back then.
And I love that Vin Diesel's Dominic Toretto character, when we're introduced to him, he's just this dude, like this foreboding shadow in the background. Like you just see him and he's just there. He doesn't make anything. And you're just like, this is so wild. Again, because I know where it's going to see him like this. And I know at this point he didn't have in his contract. Maybe he did. I don't know. But now it's very famously noted that he has written in his contract that he can't lose a fight.
Oh.
And
okay.
And again, all this will become like painfully obvious later on. But in this one, you see him and it's just like they shoot him in such a way where he's this mysterious figure, you know, and you could tell he's definitely in charge of things. But, you know, when we're first introduced to the crew and that one dude's a jerk and he fights Brian and all this, I'm just like, I don't like anybody in this movie yet.
Right?
Like, Dom's not cool. Like, they haven't done anything to make him cool. Like, I'm just rooting for Brian. And, you know, I don't know. It's so weird. It's just such a weird, surreal experience to me watching this again.
Yeah.
So.
It's starting out and, like, man's just coming up being like, tuna with no crust for 3 weeks straight. And she's just like,
Right.
"What's up? You here for your tuna sandwich again?" And then Vince just goes on and is like, "Yo, you trying to pick a fight? You ready to go?" And I was just like, "Whoa, what we doing here? Y'all being crazy for nothing. Pulling up in your little fast cars." Ooh.
And it's um when we get to the big drag race where everyone's hanging out and the street party car get together, whatever. Um when we get to that, it's funny because there's this Mexican dude there who's part of the Mexican racing group who plays the literal same character in every single movie.
Oh,
I think he plays Hector in this
okay. I
movie.
was gonna say, was it Hector?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Hector. Yep, it was Hector. No, oh, I can't pronounce his last name. I'm not even gonna try. Um, but this dude plays a cholo in every single movie. He's been in Fast and Furious, Training Day, Street Kings. It's I think he was in Friday After Next. He literally plays the same role in every single movie,
He's got a
and
type.
I'm not mad at him for it. He's carved out a very specific career for himself. Like, hey, like picture like a lightweight. I don't want to say lightweight, but like the light version of Danny Trejo. It's just like,
Yeah,
yeah, you see me like, oh, that's the dude. Yeah, that's him.
gotcha.
Um, but I love this race scene because we're also introduced to none other than Ja Rule in the Fast and Furious franchise. And this is the only time we see Ja Rule in this entire franchise. Uh, and there's such a very important story that goes along with Ja Rule in the Fast and Furious franchise because this was when Ja Rule was probably almost at the peak of his career. And um, when it came time to shoot the sequel, they were trying to get Ja Rule back because they were like, "Hey man, let's get Ja Rule back. We had him in the first movie, whatever. So let's get him back." And the director, John Singleton, said that they paid him 15 grand for his appearance in the first Fast and Furious movie, which is actually pretty good because he basically did like a night of shooting. Okay. Um, and when they tried to bring him back, they upped the pay to $500,000.
Bro.
And they went out to Ja Rule and they said, "Hey, come on back." And he said no. And then they went to the studio to try to get him to come back. And this is when he was at peak Ja Rule-ness. And he said no. And Ludacris got the role, and the rest is history.
Mm.
So, it was crazy. It this very much could have been a Ja Rule. Like Ja Rule could be just raking in millions and millions of dollars right now just because he was in Fast and Furious movies. But also, I like Ludacris, so I'm okay with that. I think Ludacris has really done fantastic in these movies. So, uh,
Interesting.
also, I feel it's important to note that I don't know enough about cars for me to know if any of the shit that they're talking in this movie about cars, like the actual factual, like, engine stuff and all this, like turbos and 342 Hemi big blocks and all this. I don't know if any of that stuff is correct.
Yeah.
Like they're talking that nonsense. I'm just like, okay. So
Let me just throw my nose in this car. We gonna go zippy zoom fast. Dude,
I know that. Yeah, go ahead.
I love when they're in that racing scene and they'd hit their little turbo buttons, and then you watch as like a classic early 2000s thing where they're like, "We got to look into how it all goes. Here's how it goes. Oh, it's sparking.
Yes.
It's flames. Whoa, this is crazy. Whoa, insane." That it was cracking me up.
this is such this is such a wild thing because there was a bunch of movies that did this around this time. Like I think I'm pretty sure Fast and Furious was the first one to do it, where where uh they would do something with a car or something, womp on the gas or hit the nitrous or do something like that, and like you said, it would go into the engine to see how it works. I know for sure right off the top of my head because I brought this up with the kids the other day and we laughed as we were watching scenes from it. A motorcycle movie called Torque, which we might have to cover again as part of like the post Fast and the Furious thing because it is so it's literally Fast and Furious on motorcycles.
Oh boy.
It but with more product placement.
Oh.
And
Oh.
it is obscene product placement.
Okay.
Like to the point that I remember watching this in the theater going, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And why do I suddenly crave Mountain Dew and Pepsi? Uh,
Hey, they got you. They got you real
oh,
good.
man.
Dude, but those
I
like
wanna,
the scenes where they are like zipping on down the street and like you see them like it like cuts to the person and they're like the way that the like camera and stuff, like how it all shakes, just cracked me up. I was just like,
I specifically made a note about the shaky cam in this movie.
man, they want you to know
Boy,
that they are bustling through.
yeah, they are. Oh, my goodness. Wow, the shaky cam was so
Yeah,
intense.
it sure was. Because I was just like, this is all I can look at right now. This is all I can focus on. But yeah.
And I also like in that first scene when we're seeing like all the fancy technology everyone's got in the cars, like Brian's got a laptop that he's monitoring everything on.
Right?
Uh, I don't even know if that was a thing back then.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe. The one kid was playing I think he was playing Gran Turismo in his car on his PlayStation. I'm like, what the hell are we doing?
Yeah. No. All that stuff was just was so peak. Like almost like comedy type thing, but they're like, but this is super cool and stuff. And you watch it now and you're just like, what is this? Who is
Right.
doing all of this? I mean, nowadays I could totally like imagine that because we've advanced so much in technology, but like early 2000s, mm, that's a little crazy. I mean, Vin Diesel was over there like, let me pop the seat, flick, flick. We gonna do all this, close it back up. All right, let's go.
Back in the day when I was in the military and I saw this movie with all my friends, there was a lot of them that were into the car modding scene, racing, whatever. And I could see like the loudspeakers and the fancy lights and all of that stuff in their cars. But I haven't been around anyone that's been in that scene in many, many years. So I don't know if like they still put screens and stuff like that, obviously not DVD players or anything like that because that's not a thing anymore.
Right.
Um,
I mean, if you wreck your car, then like, who knows what else is getting wrecked? You don't want to
right.
put stuff like that in there and then be like, man, all my DVD players broke. My kids can't sit in the back and watch, I don't know, Encanto while I race.
Such a good pull. Such a good pull. Man, I really wanted to watch Tangled today.
When one of your kids wants to watch Tangled, but the other one wants to watch Frozen, and you got the little jack in there so you can listen to him. Ooh, ooh. Uh, like I was saying, my best friend, her younger sister, like I don't know how many cars that kid has at this point. I think only one of them currently works, but she is kind of in the car scene, and like a bunch of her friends all fix up their cars and they try and go zoopy zoopy zoom all around and do their thing. I'll have to ask her sometime and be like, hey man, what's the inside of some of these cars look like? Because the one that she bought that she was gonna like soup up and stuff, I rode in it one time and I was like, what is this piece of trash? There's literally plywood in the back. You don't have seats. She's like, yeah, I ripped them out. That's just there to keep things sturdy. And I was like, what are you talking about?
That's you know what, that tracks. That tracks with all like the car modding people I've been friends with. So because this was your first time, how long or how many times did you flip flop on whether or not if Dom and his crew were the actual ones, robbing the semi trucks at the beginning?
You know, at first I was like, okay, the Asian crew, I don't remember the brothers' names. They seem like they could be a good potential because, they had all that shit um in their little storage warehouse place thingy bob. Especially when they were like, yo, where's our engines? And they started getting like super crazy to the mechanic dude. I was like, nah, they're insane. But yeah, once that got canceled out and they were like, good job, Brian, it wasn't them. I was like, oh no, it is Dom. I I was, you know, I was kind of on the fence with it for like a hot second, but Brian was just like, but these are my homies now. We're cool. They would
Yeah.
never just like mislead me. Stuff like that.
Yeah, it is wild how like trusting he instantly becomes of these cats when he's like actively trying to find out if they're, responsible for committing crimes, and he's immediately like, "Yes, friends."
They would
Um
never like want to tell me incorrect facts. Let's get them on the police team while we're at it.
mhm.
Yeah. Well, when you got the hots for the crazy guy's sister, you can
Yeah.
believe anything.
I mean, to be fair, it's Jordana Brewster, and she is beautiful. I've loved Jordana Brewster since the Mummy franchise. So, yeah, I was really, uh, I get it. I get it.
Mark, you're sitting over there like, me too.
I mean, she was in. All right, so she was in like all of these movies that I really enjoyed back then before I even realized that she was in Fast and the Furious. So, like, The Faculty, yes, I loved her in The Faculty. Great. Um, uh, what was it? I thought she was in. She was in a Mummy movie. I know she was. Wait, hold on, wait a second. I'm looking through her IMDb right now,
Oh no, Mark's
and I can tell.
crazy.
Oh man. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to look who that was because I could have sworn that she was in one of the Mummy movies starring Brendan Fraser, and I guess not. I guess I'm just a fool. So,
You're just a
all
fool in
right.
love,
Yes, I was.
Classic.
Uh, and then a whole bunch of like filler stuff happens until we get to Race Wars. Like really, just some stuff happens. You're like, yeah, whatever. Let's get to Race Wars. Except there was this one really kind of corny scene where they race a Ferrari down the Pacific Coast Highway. It's like, oh man, that's a nice car. How much it cost? And he's like, more than you. Like, oh god.
He got me. Now I'm gonna race him over to get some shrimp.
Yeah,
Where Brian can pay for his own shrimp. He doesn't need handouts.
right. And I love like right at that scene, Dom turns and looks to him, and is like, smoke him.
Right?
Like, come on, man. Like, you're not this cool. I feel like all of Vin Diesel's career is him trying so desperately to be this cool character, and he just overdoes it. And it's just like, no, dude, you're a clown, man. Come on. Like, I get it, you're cool, man, but you're just laying it on too thick.
He big buff man. He can be as cool as he want, or else he'll
Right.
beat you up.
And we get to Race Wars, and Race Wars to me is insane. We're just going to be out in the California desert at an old Air Force base and just set up tents and campers and just drag race all day. And
Right?
it's so cool. Honestly, it did look kind of fun. Like if that was my thing, that looks like it would be super fun.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair. But like, no cops? Nothing? No one there to keep the peace? except for the people that I guess quote unquote work there.
Yeah, I
Crazy.
guess. Private security, man.
Do what you gotta do.
I mean, you don't need no stinking cops there messing up all the fun. Like, come on, man.
I mean, I get it. I get it. Okay.
That's out of their jurisdiction. Um, and then we start getting into like the last, I don't know, 30 minutes of this movie where things really start getting into uh the good early 2000s action part. Brian Brian sees Dom and his crew going off to commit crimes, and what's wild is like this last 30 minutes I realize probably takes place over the course of like 12 hours.
Yeah.
So we're at Race Wars. Jesse loses his car and then drives off into the sunset. Okay, because he's running from Johnny Tran. Runs off. Johnny Tran's mad. Dom and his crew beat up Johnny Tran's guys. Michelle Rodriguez knocks out his little henchman with just this great right hook. Like, yeah, Michelle Rodriguez, you're so cool with your halter top and dorky sunglasses. Uh, and evening time comes. We see Dom going to commit crimes. Brian's like, oh, Mia, where's Dom going? And she's like, go away, Brian. And he's like, Mia, I'm a cop. And she's like, what? And she goes to walk off. And I watched this man roll a natural 20 on his charisma check because he starts talking to her and she's like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you're
We
right.
need to go save my
I
brother.
do trust you. My brother
Right.
is in trouble because they don't have Jesse anymore. It's gonna mess up. Yeah, that was kind of crazy that she's just like, yeah, okay, I'll get in the car with you.
Right.
And then he starts
Right.
being all, when they're in the car. First of all, some of the stuff in this movie, I was just like, logistically, this does not make sense. They are driving who knows how fast down this interstate. My man is zipping through. They got the windows down. Their hair's barely blowing. Like hers is like, oh, here's a few strands that like fly around. But like you can easily hear them talking. There's no like oversound of like coming through the wind. And he's just like, what's up? Can you put a trace on this call? What's the phone number? And Mia's just like, mm. And then she like takes the phone. She's like, here it is. And she's just like pouty the whole time. And it's like, are you here to save your brother? What are we doing here, girlie?
Right.
Yeah.
You're at the point of no return. Like you just need to commit to it now.
You're either about to like be like, hey, this guy was 100% correct, or your brother's gonna like be like, you fucking moron. Why would you do this? We could all go to jail. We could all go away. You're in on this too somehow, baby. But yeah.
And and another logistical thing that you were talking about is whenever they go to get their crime cars, they're just parked behind this building with car covers on them.
For
Like they're
real.
not in a garage. Like I'm pretty sure that this is the Griffith Observatory in Los Angeles, or just outside of Los Angeles. I'm pretty sure that's like the exterior building that they're shooting at. And I'm like, someone absolutely would see these cars parked back here.
Right.
Like this is a very popular place where you parked it, and they're just out in the open. Like,
No, they're not. They're under sheets, Mark.
right.
They're
My
inconspicuous.
bad. Right. 6 all matching black Honda Civics that are boosted. They got all this fancy stuff done to them. Like,
The
oh yeah,
cops
not
aren't looking for them because they're
right.
looking in garages and in people's, shops and stuff. They're not going to expect them to just be outside nilly-willy.
Mm-hmm. And they say, uh, uh, and then we come back to Brian, and he gets like the information. He's like, oh, they're 40 miles away.
Right?
And I'm like, what do you mean they're 40 miles away? Like, that's a pretty significant amount of time when you should have been tailing them. Like, where in the hell? how much time did we waste?
Well,
Like 40 miles is kind of a big amount.
I mean, yeah, but also like, so they left. It was dark. They get to the cars. It's still dark. Brian and Mia are like zipping on down. He's looking at the map while he's going like 80, and he's just like, ah, yes, here we are, 40 miles away. It's still dark. By the time they get to the spot where they're like, yeah, we got this truck, it's daylight.
I'm so glad you said this. I'm so thrilled to death that you brought this point up because, yes, I noticed that too. How long have we been driving?
Who knows? Who knows? California's big, you know. You could be driving for hours. Uh,
uh, and when they finally catch up to this truck, um, for some reason they decide to abandon all of their costumes that they have been wearing, the black suits that they wore at the beginning, to make them inconspicuous, to make them mysterious, and we don't know who they are. Now they're just wearing their regular street clothes because I don't know. I guess we want everyone to know that we're doing crimes now.
yeah. This is our last one. Then we're gonna be done for a while. We can do
Yeah.
whatever.
What?
They won't
One
know
last
us.
job.
Then we're going to Mexico, baby.
Yeah. We. This truck driver is the most effective villain in just about all of this franchise. Like from a nuts and bolts perspective, this guy is probably the most successful villain against these people. Like he never gets robbed. Like he unloads a couple shells in him. He still has his cargo by the end of the trip. Like he gets there limping across the finish line, but he's like, "Man, you're never gonna believe what happened to me. I had a bunch of street racers try to steal these DVD things, but I got them here." Yeah, like they did not win
Yeah, no, that was so wild.
and lost like all but one of their cars.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely insane. The fact that he's just like reloading a shotgun while going, who knows how fast, because, he's trying to get away from them. They're trying to speed up, break into him, and he's just unloading shotgun shells. Just like, poof, poof. What's up? I'ma get you, boy. And then there'd be times where, like, the cars would get shot and you think that they're just out because they, like, shot their tire or something. Nah, they're still gonna speed up. They're still gonna make it.
No, no. But this whole scene in and of itself, especially I keep saying like where we're gonna get to. This was such a nuts and bolts scene. Like all the effects were practical. There was someone who jumped off of a moving car onto another truck. You know, I don't believe for a second that it was actually Brian Paul Walker, that it was Paul Walker. But there was Paul Walker sitting on top of a car. Now, granted, that car was probably doing like 20 miles an hour and strapped to a trailer and all of this. But,
Right.
He was standing on top of a car with the wind whipping his hair around. I respect that a lot. Stunt people were putting in work on this movie. And nowadays this would have involved like 27 cars, every other car exploding, that semi truck.
The most CGI thing, yeah.
Wait till we get to the damn fuel tanker in one. Oh my god.
No, I can't wait until we get to the, like, plane scene that you're like, no, this is going on for, like,
the
hours.
runway, boy, the runway.
Yeah.
Oh, I cannot wait till we get to that movie. I'm pretty sure it's Fast
Man.
6. The runway scene and how just furious I was at this dumbass runway scene. And now I think it's one of my favorite things in all of moviedom. But just like I said, just the kind of simplicity of this, just the standard, just action set piece that this was. I really enjoyed it. I thought this was super fun.
I thought it was crazy. Because, like, my man Paul Walker really just said, hey, grab on.
Right.
I'm a spider monkey, you over here. Like frickin' Edward and Bella from Twilight. Let's go. I'm a Here you go. Just jump over Mia. It's okay. You won't hit her in any way. I'ma jump on the back, and then we gonna be done. That was wild. Watching that whole scene was insane. And then they like pull over, they get out, Vince is down. You're like, is he gonna make it? Who's to say? Uh, Freaking Dom comes over, and then he does the call. He's like, this is officer, blah, 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 blah. I need this. We've got these kind of wounds. Stat, I need someone here. 10 minutes, he gonna die. And then Dom's just like, you piece of shit. I can't believe you. Like, your man's getting saved at least. I really was like, is Dom just gonna pull a gun on him like right here?
This is the
I
best
was really
acting. This is
expecting
the
it.
best acting Vin Diesel does in just about this whole franchise. I was genuinely just thrilled that this man was just like he was acting his ass off. How dare you betrayed me? You were like a brother to me, Brian. Uh, Fantastic. Yeah, you just saw like
I've known you for like 2
right.
weeks, and you pull this on me,
And we
my own
thought you were a
blood.
cop, and I talked Vince out of it. I talked Vince out of killing you.
Okay, let's talk about like. All right, R.I.P. to Jesse. Just want to say that
Yeah,
I
R.I.P. to Jesse.
I thought he was adorable.
It's wild that that truck scene was not the capstone of this movie, was not the end action scene of this movie, because immediately after that, we go back to the house and they do a shootout and we start another action set piece. And now here we are, like we're 12 hours removed from Race Wars. We were just at Race Wars. Brian hasn't slept. He's been up for like 36 hours at this point. What the fuck is going on? Like, Brian is having a hell of a day.
Yeah, absolutely. No. And Vin Diesel just comes out, gun ready, and Brian's just like, hey, I'm here. Let's chat. And then the whole like, R.I.P. Jesse, and then we're off. We are off to chase these two motherfuckers who die and just, they're just like, whatever. And then they just start racing. Why are we racing? What is the point of Vin Diesel just being like, I'm going to take my dad's car and I'm going to just drive? I don't know. It was insane. But for them to both barely miss this freaking train, and then for Dom to just get hit by like a semi and just, oh, oh, what we got going on here? What we got going on here, boys? He's going to give him the keys and he's going to let this motherfucker escape. And that seals the brotherhood.
Yep.
They are bonded for life. I am very intrigued to see how the next one starts, to be quite honest.
It's, oh man. It's so, it only gets crazier from
Oh,
here.
I can imagine.
Like, with as much as I keep saying, the kind of nuts and bolts and down to earth, quote unquote, that this movie is, the practicality of this movie, we'll say, you know, especially over the next couple of movies, that it just probably until we get to Fast and Furious, the fourth one, how it slowly but surely, like not really all at once, but very slowly turns into a cartoon. And then the next movie kind of helps that along a little bit, because we go to Miami where everything is bright and colorful and kind of helps push it into that cartooniness.
Okay.
So, but it's still like we're still tame for like the next couple movies. And Yeah. So in a couple weeks, once we get to Fast and Furious, and it really starts getting crazy, that's when I'm really looking forward to hearing you go, "What the hell are we doing?" We started off when we were just drag racing on
Man.
the streets. And I don't even know, because of how we're doing this, because we're mainlining these movies, that I don't know if you might get burnt out by the time we get to Jason Momoa.
He's in these movies? What?
Oh, he's in Fast X. He's in the newest one.
Oh my God. There's so much stuff
So
going on.
much. So so much. Oh my
We're going to
goodness.
take all the biggest, buffest men we can. We are going to shove them into tiny cars to race around. There's going to be villains. There's going to be explosions. There's going to be chaos.
Oh, and I found out today. Uh I've seen this movie numerous times over the years. Saw it in the theater, seen all this stuff. I did not know there was a post-credit scene at the end of this movie. Yeah,
Oh,
it's not really special. It's just Vin Diesel driving through the desert in an old Chevy SS that where he's like, "I live my life a quarter mile at a time," and he's just like drives off into the sunset, and I'm like, "What? What? There's a post-credit
interesting.
scene? Like, it doesn't lead to anything. It's just Vin Diesel, I guess, just to be like, yep, he made it out. He's fine." Uh, but yeah.
Well, that's how you know there's going to be a sequel,
Oh
Mark.
yeah.
How am I supposed to know that there's going to be a sequel if you don't put a post-credit scene?
Oh man. But this was before the days of post-credit scenes were everywhere.
Yeah,
So
they were ahead of the time, Mark.
yeah, they were. Now, I want to say, because you said R.I.P. Jesse, in this franchise is very notorious for killing characters off and bringing them back.
Oh, so it's like the Halloween franchise where we can just do whatever and it's just cool.
Well, it's like if we don't see a body, they didn't die.
If they're
Um,
not in a coffin, we're still
pr-
rolling.
Pretty
Okay,
much. So
gotcha.
Jesse died. We saw like Jesse get shot up and die. So he's dead, and I feel bad for that actor Chad Lindbergh, because I'm sure he's probably watching all of these Fast and Furious movies, going, "I should have been there." If they can bring back this person, they can for sure bring back me. But I will say that he has been acting this whole time. Like, he's just been doing just steady, like, not big, but just steady acting gigs
Yeah.
ever since. So, he's fine. Who I really feel bad for is the guy who played Leon, uh, who was he was the guy who was driving the last car that was still around, the one who like saved Michelle Rodriguez, who saved Letty. He's like, "I'm gonna go back and get Letty,"
Oh,
and
yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
put her in the car. Yeah, he never shows up again. We
Oh,
don't see him ever again in the franchise. And I'm like, why in the world do we not see him again? We only see him in flashbacks.
mm-hmm.
Uh, so I don't know what he did to piss off Vin Diesel, but yeah,
Oh,
for
okay.
like I said, for a franchise where everyone shows up or something, like the amount of people that are in this franchise now, and this guy never shows back up. It's very odd to me.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
well, I think that wraps it up for Fast and the Furious, man. I'm I'm so glad that you dug this movie. Mate, makes me happy.
Yeah. Uh, I'm glad that we watched this because it was very intriguing. And my grandfather likes a lot of like action movies, and I definitely grew up watching some of them. Cough, cough, watching, being on my phone half the time, and then just being like, yeah, 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 that was a cool explosion scene. So for me to actually be able to just like sit there and watch that, I was like, that was a pretty good movie.
And
So
really, all in all, man, this really is just a fun movie.
yeah,
Like, we do kind of now, because of kind of what it's become, that we kind of want to just make fun of all these movies, but this legitimately is just a fun movie. And it is. I enjoyed watching it this time. The kids are kind of halfway paying attention to it, and they enjoyed it too. So yeah, this is great, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next part, my favorite part of the podcast that that I really genuinely look forward to every week because we get to be thankful for the little things that happen in our life. We get to talk about what made us happy this week. So, Raven, please tell me what has made you happy this week.
Well, as I said, I've been snowed in for about the whole week. But that being said, it's been a really nice time for Chris and me to get to spend a lot of time together because we weren't able to leave the house, and there's not that much space in our apartment that we can really do things where we can't fully avoid each other. I go to bed, or right now I'm sitting on the couch and I can hear him in a room completely upstairs with the door shut, talking. But it's been really nice because our schedules were so hectic and crazy, and we were constantly doing stuff during the holiday season. So it was nice for us to just like relax, watch a bunch of random TV together, get to spend a lot of time with the boys. I know as soon as we both go back to work, the boys are going to be like, "What the heck? You guys think you can just come and stay with us and then just leave?" And it's just been really nice to watch Kavik, especially. He has been enjoying the heck out of this snow. All he
Oh, I
wants to do
bet.
is stay outside. The day that it snowed, all three of the dogs were like, "Oh, this is cool." Mudside likes fresh snow. Once it freezes over, he wants absolutely nothing to do with it. It's so scary. I can't stand on it. It's slippery. And then Boo is just my sweet little old man that can't really walk around on it. I took him out for the first time today, in like a week. Like the first day it fell, I was like, okay, he can go out. It's fine. Once it got slippery, I was like, you already wear diapers. You're just going to be a diaper boy this week. And he was like, whatever, as long as I can go out and eat some of the snow, which he did plenty of that. But he went out today and he just slipped and slid all over the place. I felt so bad for him. But yeah, it's just been a nice little relaxing week for the both of us.
Awesome.
Yeah. How about you, Mark? What has made you happy this week?
Excuse me.
Oh,
Excuse
goodness
me.
gracious.
Oh man,
God bless.
so good. I had to sneeze.
Phew.
Um. Well, on top of making some new friends in Ohio, which was really fun. The genuine highlight of my week was coming back home and seeing my girls, man. They miss me a lot, and I really enjoyed like walking in the house and Amy running up to me and giving me a big old hug before I could even get my second foot in the door, and you know, just hugging my girls, man. It was great. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure they missed the heck out of you.
Oh, they did. They super did. And like I said, I'm just glad to be back. I got a lot of stuff to take care of here on the home front. But it's very much it's good to be back. I got to go to work tomorrow and just I know I'm going to be slam packed tomorrow just trying to catch up cuz I have not really been in my office and done work since December 17th. So
Mm.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm going to do a lot of BSing with people tomorrow. Be like, hey guys, what's happening? Good to see you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Classic chit chat.
But uh, so yeah, we're there, man. We're trying to get back into the groove of things and all of that other good stuff. And oh, but all right, Raven, please tell me, tell everybody, tell the world where they can find you on the social medias.
Well, if the whole world's watching, you can come watch whatever crazy little things I post on my Instagram at That's So Raven Ellis. I also like to hang out and retweet whatever the heck I want on Twitter at spooky_raven. It's just a lot of feel good stuff and sometimes just like some little silly goose stuff. So if you're into that kind of stuff, come check that out. You can also follow this silly goose little podcast
Oh, we are the
on,
silliest of gooses.
you know us, we silly goose all day, every day at Nerd for No Reason on whatever platform you're looking. Minus TikTok. We are still down TikTok.
Yeah, I've had to just give up that fight. I have not gotten any word back on what's going on. So
Dang. But Mark, where are you located?
let's see. I am on the Twitters and the Instagrams at Turtles Do It. So hit me up. We are also on the YouTubes. I don't know if she mentioned that, and I think we're just gonna slowly migrate all of our stuff over to YouTube, and let that be our main video platform of choice now, because they seem to, I don't know if it's be better about it, because they're not really, but they just handle it a little bit different, a little bit more responsive. Because it was really a pain in the butt to try to submit a kind of claim through TikTok, because you can only do it on your phone, and then you have to log in and relog in, and it was really just such a pain in the butt. I'm like, man, there should be some intuitive way to contact customer support, and it's just not there. Anyway, yeah, now that we're kind of back, or I'm back, and I'm kind of getting back into the swing of things after the holidays, I plan on doing more video stuff. So, come and see what we're working on, man. Next week, we're continuing the Fast and Furious franchise, and we are going to talk about Too Fast, Too Furious, the movie title that absolutely ruined any sequel that was made after this. Yeah, it very much, when they said it was going to be Too Fast, Too Furious, I remember when they announced that it was, everyone was like, oh, what's the next one going to be? 3 Fast, 3 Furious? And I mean, they weren't too far off. So, but yeah, we're talking Too Fast, Too Furious next week. So come and check us out. Enjoy it. We're going to follow Raven's adventure of discovery.
Boy, what a discovery we'll do.
And with that, everybody, y'all go and do something wonderful in the world today.
You guys go ingest the super fast and super furious menageries that are on the internet, and we'll see you here again next week on the Nerd for No Reason podcast. Goodbye.
Whoop, whoop. Bye, everybody.